So thank you very much for joining us today in our third installment of the Grove Group webinar series. Today we're going to be covering off how to become a Gmail ninja. So we're basically going to be talking about some advanced functionality and features within the Gmail product. A little bit about myself. I'm a sales engineer at the Grove Group. I've been working with Grove for about 3 years now. I'm a certified deployment specialist, as well as a certified sales specialist and an Apps Edu certified trainer. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Some of the assumptions that we're going to be making today is that you already have a Gmail account. That can either be a consumer Gmail account, your regular Gmail account, or a Google Apps mail account. Both of those will do. Also, I'm going to be assuming that you know the basics of Gmail. You know how to send an email, you know how to fill out the to field, the subject field, and the basic formatting of an email. The third assumption we're going to be making is that you're using Google Chrome as your browser of choice. This is not the only option you have. You can use other browsers to use Gmail. However, there are some more advanced features that I will be showing later on offline mail as an example of that, where it is preferable to have Google Chrome as your browser. Then fourthly, the skills that you learn here today will be used for good only. You know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility, and also that you've done your wax on, wax off warm-up exercises. So moving along. Right, so this is my Gmail interface. For those of you who are only familiar with the Gmail consumer interface, it might look a little different. You'll see I'll have a little logo in the top left-hand corner from my company. I've got a bit more storage space than the normal consumer version. That is because I'm using Google Apps for Business, and we'll talk a bit more about Google Apps for Business a bit later on. So the first advanced feature that I want to show you how to use is stars. A ninja is nothing without his ninja stars. So to use a star, you'll see that the stars are over here on the left-hand side of my list of emails. All I have to do is I click on it and it activates that star on that email. Now, what you use stars for is basically to tag an email, to mark it. What this star signifies to you, that is completely up to you. A lot of people coming from an Outlook environment used to use stars, or rather used to use the flags in Outlook for the same functionality that most people use stars in Gmail. If I know that I need to follow up today on this specific email, I might mark these two with stars, and I know that I can follow up on those. So by default, you only have the one star. However, you can activate more stars. And to do that, I'll click on this little gear icon over here. I'll move down to settings. And then I just scroll down a little bit further, and you can see that there are additional stars over here that are not in use. So I'm just going to click on use all stars and click on save changes at the very bottom of this page. If I now go back to my list of mail, if I continue clicking on these stars, you'll see that there are multiple colors now available. So one way that I use this is that if I'm waiting on information from someone, I would usually mark it with the question mark. And if I know that I need to urgently follow up on something, I might mark it with the red exclamation mark. If I need to follow up on something that's not that urgent, I'll give it a yellow exclamation mark. So as I mentioned, how you use these stars is completely up to you, but it's a really great way to mark mails and to signify certain meanings to your emails. We also use this in our support department, so we know who needs to follow up on which mail, which mails we're waiting on feedback from clients and so on. So there we are, very easy to use your stars. The second thing I'm going to show you is how to manage the density of how email is displayed in your inbox, especially for those of you who have a large amount of mail in your inbox. It can start to look quite intimidating. One way to manage how that looks is by clicking on the gear icon again and then changing from comfortable to either cozy, which just squishes it up a little bit, or compact. This way I'm also able to see more email on my screen at any one time. However, personally, it's something I believe you should not have. You shouldn't have a lot of mail in your inbox. And there's a way that we can get around that and be more productive, and that is called inbox zero. But I'll touch a bit on that later on. So let's just change this back. So as you all know, Google Apps Mail or Gmail has also got an IM client built into it. So the regular way that you'd access it is just by clicking on someone's name. It will pop up over here and you can start chatting to them. There's also another way to access the chat client with a specific person. You can do that by clicking on an email from that person. And what you'll see on the right-hand side is what we call the people widget. This will show you what circles this person is in your Google+. For those of you who aren't familiar with Google+, it's Google's social platform. You can change what circles this person belongs to from this little widget as well. But the chat functionality that I want to show you here is this icon over here. If I click on that, it opens up this person's chat window and I can automatically chat with them. What they will see on their side is that I'm chatting to them, and it will also tell them from which email I've accessed the chat client so that they know what mail I'm referring to. So really great functionality in terms of that. What you can also do from here is then start the video calling functionality. I don't know if any of you have used Hangouts, but Hangouts is the video conferencing facility built into Google Apps and into Google+. So a quick way to be able to quickly chat to someone. I always think that video and voice chat is much better than instant messaging. Moving along. So for those of you again who have used Outlook predominantly in the past, you're obviously very used to working with your folders. So Google Apps and Gmail also have a folder-like functionality, and that's called labels. It works exactly in the same way as folders do, but with some added functionality. So to show you how that works is if I open this mail and I click on the Move To icon at the top, I'm able to move it into any of these labels that I have already created. If I need to create a new label, I'll just click on Create New. Let's call it Project A, and I'll click on Create, and that then moves that mail into the label for Project B. If I go to my list of labels over here, I've got all of them listed over here, and you can also have nested labels. So just like you would have a folder inside of a folder inside of a folder, you can have a label inside of a label inside of a label. So if this functionality is the same as folders, well, aren't they just called folders? Well, folders have a bit of a limitation in that if you move a mail into a folder, that mail can only exist in that one folder. If you needed to have that mail in your inbox, for instance, but you also need to have it under the urgent folder, it's something that's urgent to you, what do? Do you move it into one or the other? Do you create a copy of the mail and move the, each copy into each folder? No, because then you'd just be creating more mail, cluttering up your mailbox. So what we can do with labels is, if I select a mail, like this one for instance, and I click on the labels icon, I can assign multiple labels to this one single email. So it's not duplicating this mail, it's not creating multiple copies of this mail, it's attaching the label to each and every one of these. What that is also particularly great for is to be able to color code my labels. So for instance, I can change it to red. If I had an urgent label, for instance, red would be a nice color. I can quickly scan my mailbox, see which ones have the urgent label, and then quickly find it. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to quickly be able to find your mail. So in traditional mail clients, you're able to sort your mail either by date or from or to. The reason most people do this is because it helps them to quickly find an email they're looking for. So that begs to ask a question, why not just use the search functionality? Well, traditional mail clients, when you use the built-in search functionality, it tends to be very slow. The items are usually not indexed, so it could take a couple of minutes to find the specific mail that you're looking for. However, Google have built the same technology that they use for Google.com into Gmail. As you know, search is Google's biggest product. So it's really easy to find a specific mail that I'm looking for. So if I type in the word population, for instance, I hit enter, within a fraction of a second, it finds all of the emails with this word in them. It doesn't matter if that is in the from field, the to field, the subject line, or the body of the mail. It looks across all of my emails and all locations of that email and finds all of the mails that I'm looking for. This is a good example of an email because, as you can see, this is in Afrikaans. Afrikaans is a language we have in South Africa. However, Google has picked up that my default language is not Afrikaans, and it's automatically asking me what language I want to translate this message into. So I can then use this translator tool. Let's say we'll change it into English. And again, within a second or two, it's translated this message for me into English. It's not 100% grammatically correct, but it's definitely something you could use to try and get the message across, try and understand what someone is trying to tell you. Another thing that you would do differently in Gmail is, instead of deleting mails, you can just archive them. So with Gmail and Google Apps Mail, you have quite a lot of storage space. With Google Apps for Business, you've got 30 gigs of storage to use. With the consumer version, you've got 15 gigs of storage to use. So for most people, that's more than enough space to last them for quite a few years. So let's make use of this space, and let's make it easier for ourselves to find data going forward if we're looking for something. So I can just select a mail that I don't need in my inbox anymore, and I'll click on archive, and that removes it out of my inbox. So it's removed it out of my inbox, but it has not deleted the mail. It shouldn't be confused between deleting and archiving emails. If I archive a mail, all it does is it takes it out of my inbox. I can still find that mail either using the search functionality or by going to all mail. Both of those functionalities will also show you those mails that you have archived. So the next thing we can do as Gmail ninjas is to change our theme, customize it a bit, make ourselves feel at home. And to do that, I'll click on this gear icon over here. I'll jump down to themes. And yeah, I can choose any of the themes that are provided to me. So let's change, for instance, to a nice beach theme. So if I now go back to my inbox, I've got this nice theme going on here. Might be a bit too busy for some people's preference. So let's do something a bit more minimalist. Just go for the blue one. Easy as that. It's been customized, easy on the eyes, very easy to do. So as you can see over here, this email is typical spam, someone offering me a way to make money. Google relies heavily on their users to report spam to them. What I can do once I get a mail like this and it hasn't gone into my spam filter automatically, I can just click on this exclamation mark over here at the top. That will report it as spam. And any future emails that match the signatures of that email that look similar to that email will now automatically go into my spam folder. So you can imagine how many millions of people are using Gmail across the world. It only takes a handful of those to identify when something is spam, and it filters through to the rest. So it's a really great way for Google to know what is spam, what isn't spam. But yeah, that's also a conversation for another day on how to best manage your spam. Next thing, how to add a signature. To add a signature, again, you click on the gear and you click on settings. So most of the settings that you need to configure and change, you can access from over here. And then on the first tab that we are, it's a general tab. Again, I just scroll down, same place we were able to activate our additional stars. And a bit further down, we get our signature. So this is where I can enter my signature. I can add some basic formatting in here, specify what I need to, and then save that. However, a little tip that some people have asked me about quite a bit is, how do you add HTML in here? So you can add images and you can do quite a bit of formatting, but a lot of times you've got a HTML signature, be it from your legacy system or from your previous email client that you'd like to bring across. Well, what you can do is go to that signature, open it up in a web page, and copy and paste that already formatted signature and come back to this window and paste it in here. That will paste the actual HTML code in the back end. You can then click on save, and that will save that signature for you. So that's kind of covered off the basics of the becoming a Ninja program. You all have your white belt now, so let's move on to getting our green belt. So what do you want to do if you get mail from someone that you need to mark in a specific label automatically? Or if you get mail from someone and you want to automatically forward it to another address. In your other mail clients, you have your rules. Outlook, for instance, it's called rules that you can set that up. In Google Apps Mail, you can do that as well. So if we use this email here, for instance, any email I get from this address, I perhaps want to add into a specific folder. What I can do is I can click on more, and I can go down to filter messages like this. It's going to ask me exactly what criteria I need for this filter, and I'll just say, yep, that's fine. Let's create a filter with this search query. Then it's going to ask me what I want to do. So we can skip the inbox, which means it will archive it. Okay, that's a good idea. I'll show you why I want to do that in a second. And then I'll also apply a label. Let's create a new label. Let's call it Mail Distiller. I can also nest this new label underneath another label if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that now. And I'll click on Create. So what's going to happen now is whenever I get an email from this email address, it's automatically going to skip the inbox and put it into a label called Mail Distiller. If I didn't do that, if I unticked the skip the inbox checkbox, it would be in my inbox as well as in this label, which is not what I wanted. So that's fine, let's leave it as that. And it's also giving me the option to take the existing mail in my inbox and apply this filter to it as well. The reason it's giving me that option is if I don't tick this, it's only going to apply to mail coming into my mailbox going forward. Anything that I might have already received from that email address, or any filters that that I'm setting up, are only going to apply to mail coming in. It's not going to apply to existing mail. For that reason, I need to tick this box at the bottom and click on Create Filter. There we go. You can now see that it's got the Mail Distiller label. It's no longer in my inbox, and I can go to the Mail Distiller label on the left-hand side, and I'll be able to find that mail in there. The next thing is this little chevron over here. So this is the important marker. And how this works is it's mostly automated. Google analyzes the way that you read your mail. If, for instance, if you get an email from your boss and you always open your mail from your boss within a couple of minutes, Google automatically realizes that that mail is important to you, and it's going to automatically start giving that all mail from that sender the important marker. However, if it's incorrectly analyzing your behavior, you can train it as well by just clicking on that chevron. So I'm not told I've told Gmail that this mail is not actually important to me, so it's going to consider any future mails from this sender as less important. So why would you want to mark mails as important or not important? Well, we'll get to that a bit later when we talk about the different types of inboxes you get. You don't just get the standard inbox that we see over here. There's actually quite a few, but we'll cover those off in a moment. The next thing we might want to do is attachments, and how do you manage attachments? Well, let me show you that. So let's go back to that mail we had earlier. If I scroll to the bottom of the mail, this is where all my attachments are listed. You'll see that I have two options. I've got download and I've got view. Now all attachments that you get, or at least most of the attachments that you get, have these two options. If you download it, you do just that. You download it to your PC or your device. But maybe you don't want to do that. You just want to preview this file. So then we'll click on view. By clicking on view, it opens up a preview window. This works on your Excel sheets, this works on PDFs, it works on Word documents. It's just a quick way to see what type of content is in this document before I download the whole document. And the way this works is the same as Google Drive works. Documents are downloaded and generated dynamically, so only once you click on another page will it download that page. This is a great way to save bandwidth and optimize your network. You're not automatically downloading all documents or the complete document when you just need to see the first few pages. So yeah, just a little tip about that. Okay, the next step, to me this is one of the greatest features in Gmail. I don't know how many of you have had the scenario before where you type out a mail to someone and the very instant that you click on send, you realize a major mistake and it's too late to fix it. Either it's going to the wrong person or there's a big spelling mistake or anything in that line, but you've just clicked on send and that mail is off. Well, Gmail has got a nifty feature called undo send, which allows you to recall that mail in up to 30 seconds after you've sent it. So I'll demonstrate how that works to you in a second. To enable it, what we do is we click on this gear icon again, we go to settings, and this setting at the moment is part of the Gmail labs. So what the labs are, they're a bunch of features and functionality sets that Google are testing. Google don't offer any kind of guarantee on how these will work, if they will work, if they might remove them. So you do use all of these at your own risk. I use most of them. I've never really had issues with them. That's my personal experience. And a lot of them are quite handy, especially undo send. So here you can see we've got undo send. I'm just going to click on enable, then save changes. It's going to reload my page now. And how this works is if I compose a new mail, it's actually mail Rob. So let's accidentally click on send now before I've actually meant to send it. You'll see that I've got this message here at the top. If I click on undo, it tells me that sending has been undone, and it opens up this compose window again. So that will allow you to do that for up to 30 seconds. So not a lot of time, but just for those critical moments where you accidentally clicked on send when you didn't mean to. So really, really powerful functionality to have. Okay, so moving along. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to use Gmail without an offline or without an internet connection. So most of the time nowadays we are online all of the time. However, there are those few instances where we're just without any sort of internet connectivity whatsoever. There's a few ways that you can manage that when you use Gmail. Obviously, because Gmail is run through the browser, most people think that you do need an internet connection to access it. But since about a year ago, there has been a way to get around that and to still be able to compose mails and read mail for the last 30 days without an internet connection. And the way to do that is through Gmail Offline. So Gmail Offline is a feature that you do need the Chrome browser to use. And to activate it, what we do is we'd open up a new tab, and we'll go to the Chrome Web Store. And in the Chrome Web Store, we're going to search for Gmail Offline. And it will be the first feature that comes up. I'll just click on Add to Chrome. and that's going to take a few seconds to just add it into my instance of Chrome. There we go. If I now click on Gmail offline, it's going to allow me to configure it for the first time. I'll first need to authorize it and allow it to download my mail. Also, when you have some time, for those of you who haven't done it before, go through the Chrome Web Store, have a look at all the apps that are available, especially the ones by Google. There's a lot of them that add a lot of extra functionality into Google Apps and all of the Google Apps products. Yeah, definitely go through that and see if there's anything that interests you. So let's tell this application that yes, allow offline mail, continue, and there you go. So what this is going to do is it's going to sync 30 days worth of mail to my local PC. It runs as a service, so even if my Chrome browser is closed, it's constantly syncing that mail for me. And if I were to go offline and I go to gmail.com, it will automatically redirect to Gmail offline, where I can then continue to compose mails as I need to, format them as I need to, click on send, do anything I need to, read mail for the last 30 days, including the attachments. And once I establish an internet connection again, it will automatically sync all of those changes that I've made back up and send out all of that mail that I've composed. So really great functionality to have. We'll probably cover it off in a different webinar session, but you also have this for your Google Calendar, as well as Google Drive and all of the Google Docs applications, where you're able to compose Word documents, or rather word processed documents, Google Sheets, presentations. You can make changes to any of those documents in the browser, even if you're offline. But yeah, as I said, we'll cover that off in a different session. Another feature that you have is the ability to place phone calls from within the chat client. So what you can do is you can add credit onto your Google Apps account through the Google Wallet service, and that credit you can use to make phone calls. You do that by clicking on this little voice calling button over here and specifying a telephone number for that person, and you're allowed to call that person. Some of you who have activated the new chat functionality, the integrated Hangouts functionality that combines the regular Hangouts with the instant messenger service. Voice calling to telephone numbers is not available at the moment. That's why I'm still using the all chat interface. So for those of you who would like to make voice calls to telephone numbers, you'd need to roll back to the old chat client. But I do believe that it's something that Google will bring out very shortly. Interesting enough, if you use this calling service, the rates are very favorable. As an example, calls to the United States or Canada are priced at 0.01 American cents, which is, yeah, really, really cheap. So the next thing I'm going to show you is advanced search. So I've shown you the regular search where you can type in any word into the search bar at the top and it will look through all mails and all locations of that mail for that specific keyword. But sometimes you want to be a bit more specific. You perhaps need to find mail from a specific person, mail that was sent on or before a certain date or on or after a certain date. Maybe it contains something in the subject line. To do that, what you do is you click on this little drop-down button over here, and that will open up this window over here where you can type in exactly who the mail was from that you were looking for, who it was sent to, what the subject line is. It includes certain words, it doesn't include certain words, did it have an attachment, and then a date range when that was sent or received. And that allows you to be very specific about the mail that you're looking for and allowing you to find it much easier. Once you've used the search functionality quite a bit, you pick up on some of these operators. So I don't use that drop down anymore. What I do is I'll just type in from and the person's email address, and it will look for all mail from that person. You can do the same with to. You can also search for has, and then attachment as an example. And we'll find all mails with attachments. Date is another one where you can specify the date. Yeah, there's quite a few. There's even a few that you don't find in this list over here. What we'll do is in the thank you mail that we send out to you guys later on, I will include a link to the page that specifies all these operators. It takes quite a bit of time to learn these out of your head, but once you do, it becomes really powerful and just that easy to find what you're looking for. The next thing, and this is quite a cool one, it's something that I've only discovered quite recently, but it's changed the way that I give out my email address quite a bit. I believe it's been around since the beginning, and I've only recently found out about it. So as an example, my email address might be jeanhayward@gmail.com. I don't know how many of you knew this, but anything that you add after the beginning part of your email address, so anything after, for example, Jean Hayward, if you add a plus and then junk, for instance, or any keyword after the plus, that is still your email address. Any mail sent to that address will still come through to your mailbox. So what this is especially useful for is if you're signing up to a website where you're scared they might spam you later on, you can add a keyword like junk. And you can use any mail coming to this address. So as I showed you earlier how to set up filters, you can set up a filter to filter out any mail to this address and place it in a specific folder or send it to the junk folder automatically. And that can be anything. If I want all of my, messages coming from Facebook as an example to go into a folder, I can create an email address like this, or not even create it, this is my email address, and I'll sign up to Facebook using that email address. So any combination of characters after the plus sign, before the @ sign, that is still your email address. So quite a nifty little feature as well. Moving on, canned responses. So I don't know if anyone has this problem as well, but in a company like ours, you find yourself sending, replying to emails with the same kind of answer quite often, be it a quick question on how does something work, or a support question. A lot of times you've sent that answer to many people over and over, and you're tired of typing it out. What you can do to manage that is Google's canned responses. So first of all, how do you enable canned responses? Okay, let's go to the settings page again. Canned responses is also a lab, so we'll go to labs. Let's just find canned responses. Here we go. I'll enable that. I'll scroll down to the bottom. I'll click on Save Changes. It's going to reload Gmail for me. And now what is different is if I click on Compose and I go to canned responses over here, you'll see this is a new functionality that I have here. So how that works is I can type anything. Let's just say blah blah blah, and I'll go to that option again, canned responses, new canned response. I'll give it a name. Let's call it blah. Okay. If I discard this mail, whenever I need to reply to someone with blah blah blah, I'll just, in the reply window, click on the drop-down box, go to canned responses, select blah underneath insert, and it will automatically add it. So if I go to this mail, for instance, just close that, click on reply, in the compose window, canned responses, blah. So yeah, really useful for any scenario where you need to send the same response to quite a few people over and over. You can use that. Right, so I've gone through most of the things I wanted to show you. The next few things are probably on the Gmail master list, so they're the more advanced functionalities. The first one, and I touched on this when we started, is Inbox Zero. So what is Inbox Zero? Inbox Zero is basically a way to work with your inbox, or a goal that you strive towards, to have a completely empty inbox. the only things that should be in your inbox are things that you need to either action still or reply to. Anything that you have no intention of replying to or no intention of taking any action on shouldn't be in there and should be archived. As I said before, any archived message can still be found and you know, can still read it and do whatever you want to. But inbox 0 strives towards only having actionable items in your inbox. So the way that I achieve that is by default, Google Apps shows you 50 emails per page. At the moment, I've only got 3, but if I had a few hundred mails in my inbox, it will only show 50 per page, and I need to scroll to the next page every time to find that. What I did is I went into settings, and I changed that down to show only 10 emails per page. And I saved the settings. And I sat down, I went through all my mail, I cleared out anything that I didn't need to action, anything that wasn't a mail that I needed to reply to, and I archived it. And then as I worked through the rest of the mail, I got it down to less than 10 emails. Now, if I ever have more than 11 emails in my inbox, I know that I need to work faster, work harder. I never need to be able to scroll to the right to go to the second page. That is my personal way of using Inbox 0. I know there's quite a lot of Chrome extensions out there that help you to manage or achieve this in a variety of ways. There are different people explaining different ways on YouTube how to achieve Inbox 0. This is what I found works for me. But please do go ahead, do a bit of research about Inbox 0. It definitely does make you more productive. It helps you to never miss an important mail. It helps you to never forget about a specific mail or a specific item that you needed to action. Most of my work revolves around my email, so I know at any point in time whatever's in my inbox are the items that I need to action. I need to do something there. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you within Gmail, within the Gmail interface, is the different types of inboxes. So by default, you've got your regular traditional inbox, but then the second type of inbox you have is important first. So what I showed you earlier, the chevron that indicates if a mail is important or not, and you're training the Gmail system to automatically recognize when a mail is important to you or not. If you activate important first, it will always show you the important mails at the top and the unimportant ones at the bottom. So this is also a way that you can achieve Inbox 0. As an example, if I marked this mail as important, it will move it to the top. It will now also automatically, any mail coming from this person, mark it as important going forward. So it's a type of filter in a way, but it's a smart filter. It learns to adapt itself as you train it, as you mark items as important or unimportant. The next type of inbox that you have is unread first. So it's exactly what it says. If a mail is unread, it will be at the top. Anything else at the bottom. Again, if I mark a mail as read, I'll reload my inbox. There's no mails under unread, everything else is underneath that. Then start first. So the stars that I showed you how to add, you can do that. Let's close that. So any stars that you've added, all the starred emails will show up at the top. And then priority first, inbox, which is a combination of all of these types of inboxes combined together, where it shows all the different ones. So all of these are quite a few great ways to achieve Inbox 0. Explore them, try them out, see which ones work for you, and yeah. A new feature that was recently released by Google, it's still pretty new. I've tried it out a bit on my actual mail account, and it works pretty well. It's pretty smart, and that is the ability to automatically have mail sorted into categories. So for those of you who it hasn't been enabled for automatically, to enable it, click on the cog over here again, then go down to configure inbox and choose which categories you want, and then click on save. And what that will do is it will add these tabs at the top that will automatically filter your email based on these options at the top. So social, for instance, anything from Facebook, anything from Twitter, anything from Google Plus will automatically be sorted into this category. Any promotional type of emails, be it Groupon or any other type of promotional website that you sign up to, that will automatically get filtered in there. Updates, any sort of alert mails that you registered for, these will go in there. And then forums, I know my mailbox gets flooded with a lot of forum emails, so this is really great for me to have here. And again, you can drag mail between these categories. So if Google has incorrectly identified a mail as being social and it wasn't, it was supposed to be promotional, you can just drag it across into promotional and it will show up over there. So you're training the system. Over time, it will become better and better to learn what your preferences are and how you like to use the email. The last thing that I want to show you is what do you do to get notifications if you get a new email, or if you've got a calendar event that is about to come up, but you don't have your browser open. Well, one way to accomplish that is by using the Gmail Notifier tool. This is an application that you install on your PC. You get it for both PC and Mac, and you can find it at this address over here at the top. And that does exactly what it says. If you get an email and your browser isn't open, you'll get a little pop-up on your screen telling you that you've received a new mail, or a little pop-up that tells you that there's an event in your calendar that's about to start. So that's a really great way to keep on top of your mails. But an added functionality that it adds is gives you the ability to make Gmail your default mail client for clickable email links. So you get a lot of websites that have an embedded email address. If you click on that email address, it will open up your Outlook or your Outlook Express or whatever mail client is set as the default mail client on your PC. If you want that mail client to be Google Apps or Gmail, you install this notifier, and within the settings of this notifier, you can specify that Gmail needs to be the default mail client. So that if you click on one of those mail to links, it automatically opens up a new Gmail Compose window to that address. And then the last step in becoming a Gmail ninja, and probably one of the most important steps you can take if you haven't done so already, is to get Google Apps for Business. Google Apps for Business allows you to have all of the great functionality that you get with Gmail, that you get with Google Drive, and use that within your business. There is added functionality as well in terms of administration and policies, larger mailbox size, for instance, and quite a few more enterprise tools that you can use. I think it's important to be able to work the way that you live. Most people are familiar with Gmail. Most people enjoy using Gmail. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to use all of that functionality in your business environment. There's a lot of value that it can add to your business as well. It's really great in security and privacy. As an example, Google is a green company. They've got green data centers. You're doing your part for the world. So definitely something to consider, something to discuss with us at Grove. If that's something that you're interested on, please go to our website, groveis.com, get in touch with us. We can then go and we can then discuss this with you and see how it can add value to your specific company. I will be making the slides available to you guys. We'll probably send that link out to you guys in the thank you mail. So if anyone needs that, we can do that. But thank you for joining us today. If there is anyone with some questions, maybe there's something I didn't cover that you'd like to explore, feel free to contact me in the chat window. I'll still be online for about another 10 minutes to answer any questions. I will do that out loud. So as I get the question in the chat window, I'll answer it for everyone to hear. So one question I've just received is, how do you enable the categories that I've just shown you? So to do that, let me just go back to my mail client. If it isn't enabled already, what you would do is click on this gear icon over here, go down to configure inbox, and that will then take you through to the page where you can select which categories you'd like to enable. So just a recap of the functionality that you have to have different email addresses using the plus sign. Let me open the compose window so I can show you how it looks in text. So for instance, if your email address is your email address, gmail.com, if you add in a, if you add in a plus sign after the beginning part of your email address, anything that you add after that, before the @ sign, is still your email address. So as another example, if I add in internet banking, if I use this email address to sign up for my internet banking, that will automatically still come through to my inbox. But the benefit that it's adding to me or giving me is that I can set up filters that will allow me to still filter that mail based on that specific email address into a specific label for internet banking, as an example. So another question we're getting is there an easy way to view all the related emails, conversations in your inbox? So to emulate the functionality for Outlook where you select by conversations in a date received order. So that is the default way to receive emails. If you get multiple emails related to the same topic, in other words, a bunch of replies or forwards on one mail conversation, they will be grouped together like the latest Outlook does. However, if it's something you want to disable, you can do that by clicking on the gear icon again, going to settings, and over here near the top there is conversation view, where you can turn this functionality on or off. So a lot of people prefer the old way, like the older versions of Outlook had it, where each mail was an individual item. So for that you can turn it off. However, if you prefer to have all the mails related to a conversation, in other words the replies and forwards, grouped together as one mail item according to arranged according to date, you turn conversation view on. So extra security of email handled by Grove. That's a very broad question. There's quite a few security considerations. Obviously, Google have a lot of their own built-in security functionalities, both in terms of the way your computer connects to the internet and back to the Google servers. You know, if you use Google Apps for Business, you can enforce a secure connection like SSL or HTTPS for all your users, that they can only connect over a secure connection. So that's one way of handling security. Another way to handle security is how do you protect your users' inboxes. So it's a very valid concern. because you're able to connect to your mailbox from anywhere, what happens if someone gets hold of your password? Well, one such way to address that is by enabling two-step authentication. What that does is, once you've enabled that, you've associated your mail account or your Google Apps account with your telephone number or with your mobile device, and after you put in your username and your password, it asks you for a one-time PIN that you need to enter. You can get that PIN either via a phone call, via an SMS, or via a smartphone app. So there's that way of doing it. Or some of the additional security that Grove specifically offers on top of that is our single sign-on solution, where you can have that type of control and more for Google Apps, but you can also add in additional systems that you might have. Maybe you've got a CRM system or an HR system. All of those can be plugged into the single sign-on solution that Grove has to offer. Can you sort your mail according to the from field? So as I explained earlier, there isn't a way to sort your mail according to from, according to, according to date. The reason for that is because of the quick search functionality. So if you're looking for mail from a specific person, you just type in from : and the person's name or email address, or you click on the drop-down box and type in the from field, Jean Buerta, for instance, search, and that will find all the mail for that specific person. So it's a bit different, but once you get used to using it, you kind of understand why that's a better way and why it works really well. I'm still going to be here for another 5 minutes for any other questions. However, if there are any questions that you guys might think of later on that might not come to you now, please feel free to get in contact with us at Grove. All of our contact details are on our website, groveis.com, and we'd be happy to discuss your issues with you and try to help you where we can. Another question we're getting is eVault is from Google, controlled by region. So the Google Vault application, which is used for mail archiving and compliance, at the moment there isn't any region control in that. However, Grove do have some solutions that we can offer you if you need archiving based on a specific region, perhaps for compliance reasons you might not want any of your data to leave your country, or it's not allowed to be archived outside of your country. We have solutions that we can offer you in terms of that, so please do get hold of us and we can help you. As an example, if you need your mail to stay in Europe, yes, we can help you do that. Not using Google Vault, but we have other solutions that we can discuss with you and show you how they would work. The webinar is being recorded, so I do believe that we will make the recorded video available to the people who were in attendance. So if there was something that I might have covered off too fast, we'll also be able to go over the recording and go through that again. So yeah, that's definitely possible. I'm getting a question about the way that you handle logging into multiple accounts. So for those of you who have used Gmail before and you've had additional Gmail accounts or additional Google Apps accounts as well, what you would do is you'd usually click on your name at the top and click on Add Account, and then you can sign into additional Gmail or Google Apps accounts, and then just easily flip between all of them without having to sign into each of them again. Sometimes it does happen that you get logged out of some of them or all of them, this is usually due to your cookies. Either the cookie sessions have crashed in your browser, or something similar has happened. If it happens more frequently than once a month, and it happens quite often, get in touch with us. We can definitely have a look at that for you, see if we can find the problem, or see why that is happening. But generally, it shouldn't happen more than once a month. It's definitely not by design. It's just related to the way that your browser or your PC handles the cookies and your cache of your browser. Okay, everyone. I think that's it for the questions. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. We will be making the slides available. We will be making the recording available. And please do feel free to reach out to us for any additional questions or information you might require. Thank you.